The man expertly peered through the sniper scope, locking onto the fund manager who'd handled his investments. Without hesitation, he squeezed the trigger. Jim then swung his rifle toward the onlookers in the building across the street. These so-called Wall Street elites, bankers, fund brokers, investment advisors, had spent their days like vampires, sucking dry the hard-earned money of ordinary people. Today, he was here to get justice for all those investors who'd been scammed into bankruptcy and left with nowhere to turn. Watching these elites fall one by one, Jim felt a surge of satisfaction. After emptying his magazine, he pulled 2 bombs from his backpack, then torched all the evidence. Taking advantage of the chaos in the crowd, he strolled across the street, calmly put on his revenge mask, and walked straight into the financial investment building. The staff in the lobby were all distracted by the commotion outside, completely unaware of Jim's murderous intent. He walked into the elevator without obstruction and pressed the button for the floor that was about to become a living hell. Jim was a former Special Forces soldier who worked as a security guard for an armored truck company. He had a beautiful, gentle wife, and they were deeply in love. He thought life would continue this way happily, but during a prenatal checkup, his wife was diagnosed with cancer. Although the cancer cells had all disappeared after treatment, the doctor warned that the chance of recurrence was extremely high. To achieve a complete cure, she would need regular injections of an expensive medication. For his beloved wife, Jim agreed to the treatment without hesitation. But when it came time to pay, he was told their newly purchased health insurance had already reached its reimbursement limit. Left with no choice, Jim had to use his credit card to cover the costs. Back home, he immediately called the insurance company to inquire about the situation, only to be given various excuses as they shirked responsibility. They claimed he hadn't read the reimbursement limits and the policy carefully, and that all future medical expenses would have to be paid out of pocket. But the treatment costs alone already exceeded his salary. Jim hung up in frustration. His wife, sitting behind him, had heard everything. That night, Jim was awakened by his wife's crying. She felt she was dragging him down and didn't want her husband, who had already given her everything, to be buried in debt. Jim comforted his wife, telling her not to worry. He still had $100,000 from his military severance pay, which he'd invested in guaranteed funds years ago. If he withdrew it all, they could definitely get through this crisis. The next day during his lunch break, Jim called his fund broker. But as soon as he started speaking, the broker cut him off, claiming he had a meeting. A bad feeling immediately washed over Jim. Over the following weeks, the broker kept making excuses. To pay for the treatments, Jim had no choice but to max out his credit cards. The bills piled up like snowflakes, quickly suffocating him. After several more days of waiting, Jim finally managed to meet with his fund broker. But as soon as the man sat down, he delivered